Welcome back to the wedding show, everyone. Thanks for joining in. I'm Shelley Armstrong with Shelley Armstrong Events, and my second guest, and I'm very excited to introduce to you Mr. Jack Hurley from the Black Tie and Bridal Lace. Jack, thank you so much for being here today. I have enjoyed working with you for so many years, and when I saw that you were going to be here today, I was really excited.
Glad to be here.
Thank you. So let's tell everyone about Black Tie and Bridal Lace. Let's start with a little bit about you and your background.
Been in the bridal business. Well, someone once said that they think that when Adam rented his fig leaf to marry Eve, he got it from me. I'm not quite that old, but I have been in the business for a very long time.
Yes, yes.
Very long time.
You were probably one of the first wedding vendors that I ever came into contact with.
Really?
Yes, and that was long enough ago, so maybe we won't go there.
Back in the dark ages.
We're just going to say back in the day. How's that? Right on. So let's start with, how did you get started in the tuxedo business? Because I know you started with a black tie, and then we moved into bridal lace as well.
Yeah, actually started in the tuxedo business back not too many years after my service in Vietnam. It was back in the 70s. Worked for a men's clothing store that did tuxedos from a catalog. Realized that that wasn't really the best way to provide good quality, good service.
Right.
So struck out on my own in 1973 and have been doing it ever since.
Fantastic. Well, I know that you're probably one of the only tuxedo shops I have ever sent any of my clients to.
Thank you.
Knowing that we get the best service, the best quality, and if anything changes, you're able to accommodate the clients, and that's really important because body shapes change, someone might lose some weight, and that's always kind of an issue when you're dealing with a specific size, and you've always been able to accommodate. So tell me about how, and let's tell our brides and our grooms, how do you and when do you suggest they get fitted and they go in and pick out what tux they want to wear?
It's fascinating being both in bridal and tuxedo,
Yes.
so we're really dealing with a longer span of time. And I often tell brides that I work with that you can do everything you need to do as far as the attire for the wedding party in 6 months and less.
Yes.
I find very, very few bridal designers require more than 6 months to deliver a gown.
Okay.
So I often tell them, start by ordering your gown 6 months before. Bridesmaids, 5 months before. Mother of the bride, often forgotten, 3 months before. And then let's sit down and look at tuxedos, colors, styles, fashions, etc. And let's get the details of that worked out about 2 months before the wedding.
Fantastic.
Then it comes down to the 1 month before the wedding. The guys get fitted, the bridesmaids' dresses have arrived, the bridal gown is there, the bride has the opportunity to have her alterations done without any rush. Come down to the wedding day, everything's taken care of.
Fabulous, fabulous. Now, you mentioned alterations. So do you have an offer, in-house alterations with the bridal gowns and the bridesmaids' gowns?
I do not. In the years that I had 3 bridal shops, we had in-house seamstresses, and it just became too expensive.
Okay.
There are so many qualified people who are able to do bridal alterations without the overhead that's required in a shopping center. Obviously,
Wonderful.
a shopping center, rent is high,
Right.
whereas someone works out of their own studio. We have a young lady named Kelly who does work out of her studio.
Okay.
Fantastic seamstress. Everyone is very happy with her. So price-wise, that really is the best for the bride.
Wonderful. So and I'm glad that you can give some direction to the brides who definitely need the alterations.
Definitely,
Wonderful.
yes.
So tell me about your tuxedos and the gowns. How many different lines and brands do you carry?
Well, in the tuxedos, we do just about every line that's out there.
Oh, okay.
There are fewer lines today than there were a few years ago.
Okay.
And there are more lines leaning towards suits. So it's almost, it's difficult now to tell the difference between a suit and a tuxedo. It used to be you knew what a tuxedo was, you knew what a suit, but the lines are kind of blurry.
Okay.
We use suits with vests and ties, so it kind of makes it a suit-edo or whatever kind of word you would come up with.
New lingo going on here.
As far as bridal, having been in the business for a long time, I have chosen one line, Maury Lee,
Okay.
as far as bridal gowns.
Beautiful line.
Maury Lee is a dependable company.
Yes.
They provide what we want, when we want, and they provide a quality product. I've had different designers over the years who made a beautiful sample gown, But on a special order, it would arrive without buttons, with missing beads, with, open seams.
No.
That's why it's important not only to be confident and comfortable where you order your gown,
Right.
but also be ordering a gown that you can depend on that's going to be delivered on time. And that's what we receive with Maury Lee.
Absolutely fantastic. Well, that's good to know because I know, the gown is everything.
It is.
The gown is everything to a bride, and so that is the one thing that you can't mess up with, not at all.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm glad to know that they're in good hands with you. So tell me about some upcoming trends that you see with tuxedos, with dresses. What do you see happening?
I think we are in the middle of a transition. Now,
Yes.
having been in this business and in men's clothing before that, I've seen so-called trends, but I've never seen anything like the trend that we have now with the men wanting the tightest possible fit in both their pants and their coats. We just finished our prom season, high school kids.
Oh, yes.
And these guys were wanting to wear things so tight that I had to warn them. If you sit down with your coat buttoned, it will pop the button off and shoot across the room. You can't sit down wearing this tight a garment. And they often say, well, I can't reach out. And I say, well, my goal is to have you look so good that you don't have to reach out to your date. She'll want to come to you. So you don't have to
I like
reach out.
that.
Just stand there.
I like that. Just
Yeah.
stand there and look dapper. Well, I know that you fitted my son for his prom. Thank you very much. He looked absolutely fantastic. So thank you. So tell me advice that you would give to our brides and grooms coming in and when they're not knowing what kind of tuxedo to choose to go with the gown, or is there a certain style that needs to go with certain styles of gowns? What do you let them know?
One of the things that I enjoy most in working with the bride and groom is to, after our 30 minutes to an hour working together, we dress up the mannequins, we look at colors, we coordinate the colors of the groomsmen, ties and vests with the colors that she's purchased for bridesmaid dresses. We do all of that, and we spend some time. To me, the most rewarding is at the end of our session, the bride, and the bride did this for me just last week, she turned and looked at me, she says, thank you for your patience, and thank you for guiding us through this, because we had no idea what we were going to do. And then on the other hand, I see brides who they come in with pictures off of Pinterest or one of the other websites, and they think, oh, I can do this on my budget. What they don't realize, there was a line on a television program once. The girl said, well, it's on the internet, it has to be true.
Yes,
Yeah.
not
Well,
so much.
some of
at
those
all.
things that people are seeing and dreaming
Right.
of are professionally staged, professionally photographed,
Yes.
custom made, created just for the photo shoot.
Right.
I had a guy ask me the other day for a particular vest he saw online. And I said, I'm sorry, but the vest you saw online was one-of-a-kind creation for a special event for a photo shoot.
Yes. Yes.
But
they don't exist.
All in all, styles of... I'm a bit challenged, having been in this business for a long time, I'm a bit challenged to see brides who select a beautiful, gorgeous, full train veil for their gown, and then they put their groom in slacks and an open collar shirt because they've
Doesn't
seen it on
quite go.
Pinterest. It doesn't really work together, and I oftentimes tell them, when you look back at your professional photographs 5 years from now, will you be happy with what you did,
With that look.
or will you say, what was I thinking?
Right. Well, I think that a lot of brides do that with a lot of different trends these days, and you do have to be careful. So I'm glad that, and I can back it up too, how many clients are so comfortable going into your store and your storefront and being able to get the help that they really need, and the patience, because we all know brides need a little bit of patience. So I'm glad that they can get that from you, for sure.
One of the things that my staff on my bridal side,
Yes.
what they look for, what they earn for, is a hug from the bride or the mother.
Yes.
And they just beam with pleasure, and they're just so proud of themselves
Right.
when they can relate that closely with the bride
Right.
and her mother, or the others who are there with her.
Absolutely. Well, you have to listen.
Have to listen.
You have
And
to listen to
so
them.
often that doesn't happen in our society.
Right.
Most of our brides and grooms, most of our clients, both yours and mine, have never really experienced one-on-one personal service.
Right.
They've gone through the mall, they've seen people, they go through a cash register. They never sit down and have anyone really ask them about themselves.
Right.
One of the little things that I like to do, I've had a number of brides recently that I talked with. I said, now, I want you to remember something. This is the biggest day of your life. You have thought about this day for years. And up till now, up till the day of the wedding, you are the designer, the coordinator, the color specialist, but you're also the star of the show.
Right.
It is your day. Now, the groom is there, and it's important to have a groom at a wedding, but the bride is still
She's
the
still
star.
the star.
So what I've told brides is, on your wedding day, don't let anyone come to you with anything negative.
Right.
From the time you get up, have someone with you who will run interference. Now, if the groom is 10 minutes late, you don't need to know that.
No.
And the cake is not there at the precise, you don't need to know that. You're going to get married.
Right.
If all the guests go to the wrong place,
They're still getting
you're
married.
still going to get married.
Right.
So on your wedding day, and I've had a number of brides come back and tell me, I am so glad. I said, do you remember the magical walk down the aisle? Because I've talked to so many brides who were so caught up in everything else
Right.
that when they walked down the aisle the next day, they didn't remember it.
And they kind of
And
forget.
that's a tragedy.
Yeah. No, it is. It is. It's good that they can get some good advice from you.
From
It's-
the old guy.
Yeah, but you know.
Been there.
You've been there.
Been
You know.
there.
You know. Well, let's talk real quick. Why don't you tell everyone where you're located and how our brides and grooms can find you?
We are located on Blackstone. We're a little bit north of Shaw in a shopping center, kind of sandwiched in between Whitey's Pets and Blast Fitness. We've been there now for almost 20 years. We are open Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. until 6 p.m.
Okay.
Our phone number, if you want to write it down, is 559-243-9901. You can also send me an email at jack@theblacktie.com. Be happy to set an appointment for you. On our bridal side, we work strictly by appointment. We're not a large salon. We have enough staff and enough space really to work with one bride at a time. We love doing it just that way. On the tuxedo side, we're always available. It isn't necessary to make an appointment, but we welcome them as well.
Okay, fantastic. Well, Jack, thank you so much for taking the time to sit with me today and to let our brides and our grooms know all the different fun things that you have. And again, Jack Hurley with the Black Tie and Bridal Lace. Thanks so much. We'll be right back.